好同志们，好同志们，我们都在轰轰烈烈了，站起来，站起来。Welcome to the 244th edition of China Now with your gang of two. Nan Su, who is the senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times, and Michael Olson, who once dreamed in Chinese of going to live there and rebuilding China, but who was dissuaded from doing so by the great helmsman himself, Mao Zedong. Each week, Nan Su and I look across the broad expanse of the Pacific Ocean from our home port at Santa Cruz Voice, and we ask, China now, friend or foe, war or peace? Ni hao, Nan Su.
Hi, good afternoon, Michael. Yeah, it's good to have this new segment.
Yes. And we have something fun to pick on today in hour number 2, so we want to flag people on that. We're seeing that there's a new Democrat candidate for New York City mayor, Zohran Mamdani. And Zohran recently called for government-owned grocery stores, and he called for the government also to decommodify housing by replacing luxury condos all around New York City there with communal-style living that would include a shared laundry facilities and food co-ops and everything. Now, Nan Su, this sounds like something from the past and across the ocean to me. And so that's what we're going to pick up in hour 2 is a look at what we like to call Eat at Mao's, which is Mao Zedong's restaurants, his canteens. And it's a way that Mao did what Zohran Mamdani wants to do. So we'll take a look at that.
Was that Mamdani or Mandami?
I've heard it pronounced Mamdani.
Mamdani.
Yeah, it's like Mommy, Donnie, Mamdani.
Mommy, Daddy, and...
So he is quite a character, but he seems to be taking the Democrat establishment by storm. And good luck on him on that. It would sure change the... If he's following in the footsteps of the great helmsman Mao Zedong, he would really have a big way to change the landscape of New York City, that's for sure.
So the New York City are going to buy and own all the 7-Eleven stores? Is that what it is?
There you go. That would be a lot of them. Well, Eat at Mao's in hour number 2 on China Now. In hour number 1, Nan Su, it looks like war drums are going off all over the place from the menu of stories that we've put together from the week's stories. There's all over the world, it seems to be, things are heating up.
Yep, it's true. This week, Germany, it's blaming China to use leisure. Chinese warship in the Red Sea region attack Germany's surveillance plan, which is in a civilian mission to protect the civilian ships from Houthi attacks. And now Chinese naval ships have been in Red Sea region in the anti-piracy task.
But now they
they claim.
Yeah, now they become pirates themselves.
And then now they are attacking Germany surveillance plan, who is trying to protect the civilian ships from Houthi attacks. So now you're really wondering, why are the Chinese warships are there? Are they there actually trying to protecting civilian ships, or they are trying to protect the Houthis?
Wow. Good question. Or are they just testing their equipment? You know, when I saw that story, Nan Su, I thought the Chinese have a way of trying things out with live fire. They shoot.
Oh, yeah, they always do that.
Yeah, so let's see. And then furthermore, why would they use a laser? One of the things that kids often do is shoot airplanes with lasers and try to blind the pilots.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was the intent. Let's use
Oh,
this.
they down it quite a bit. They down it in Japan Sea to Japanese pirates. I think they did it in. I'm not sure if it's either in the region of South China Sea or in the Western Pacific between Japan and Guam, and they did that towards American pilots. So they did it quite often. They did it many times already.
Mhm.
So I don't know why they try to do that.
Well, I don't either because it seems to me like
But you look at all these pilots, they all wear sunglasses, right?
right,
So it
Ray-Ban aviators. That's what we wear.
so
Yeah. So at any rate, what were they doing, and why were they trying to do it? What really concerns me is the possibility that they are going back to their wolf warrior antics, which is kicking sand in everybody's face and throwing mud balls at them and being just all around mean characters. Now, some of that led up significantly recently, at any rate. Uh, at least I've seen reports where there's been a lot less activity of Russian or Chinese jets buzzing everybody in the Taiwan Strait and whatnot. Things appeared to be cooling down, but this incident would indicate that it just seems to me like let's try it out and see if it works. Let's see if we can blind the pilots and what would happen.
well, the things around Taiwan is not cooling down. It's actually it's a daily basis right now in Taiwan, around Taiwan and near the Philippines. There those are the daily basis situation. The Chinese warships and
So it's not cooling down at all. It's
no,
heating
no,
up.
not at
Okay.
all. And actually, this week, Taiwan started their annual military drill, the biggest one once a year. It started on the 0 o'clock, July the 8th. So it was the like what 12 o'clock midnight on July the 8th. So they it's still not finished yet. It's like a days of military drill that this year their assumption is that dealing with the situation that the Chinese military drill around Taiwan all of a sudden turn to a full invasion event. So they make that assumption. They are using the M1 tank that they purchased from United States, and they are using all the missiles and purchased from United States. They're using all that in the drill, and they try to see if they have the quick enough response to stop the invasion.
Depends on how many ships China sends and
Well,
how
it's
many
just like because of all these Chinese warship and military airplane around Taiwan, they really become a daily basis. And then anytime, any given day, you could see like more than 10 Chinese warships as well as like 2030 Chinese military airplanes flying around Taiwan. So they're just kind of like people really worry. All one day, all of a sudden, all this drill will just all of a sudden, without any notice,
turn into
they,
holy hell, I guess.
yeah, it's going to become a full invasion.
Imagine what it would be like to be a Taiwanese and look out across the ocean there. Maybe you could see the ships from the shore. I don't know. Probably
Well, they
too
can
far.
see it. They can see the shore. I remember back in 1996 and 2000, when 1996 was the first year Taiwan has its democratic election, and 2000 was the second one. At that during those are the times that China will actually launch hundreds of missiles as
Yeah,
a threat. But then later they learn, that this kind of threat only going to backlash to them. It's going to make the election result they don't like. That's what's
exactly.
the result,
Which
right?
which is
So
exactly what happened.
yeah, yeah,
They
right.
tried to bully the Taiwanese people, scare them, frighten them.
And they try to scare them so they will vote for the candidate that Beijing likes, right? But then it turned out work the exact opposite way, right? So now they kind of like they have all these military fighter jets warship around Taiwan. Any you just any day, and
Okay.
also they just start live fire drill without any advance
Boom,
notice.
boom, yeah. All the way, they're doing live fire drills all the way down past Australia
Oh yeah, in the Tasman Sea between
in the Tasman
Australia
Sea,
and
yeah,
New Zealand, right?
exactly. Nan, you took your family over to Taiwan here not too long ago.
It was May of last year, yes.
So, did you talk with the Taiwanese people about what it's like to have China right there?
Well, people don't like it, but they already get used to it. It's like, one thing you can tell they're not afraid of it. And number two, it's also dangerous because when you get used to, you don't even notice what
Yeah.
they're doing anymore. That's how
You
dangerous
get
it could happen, man.
complacent, and when you get
Yeah.
complacent, you become vulnerable. Now, what the heck were the Chinese ships doing shooting at German airplanes down in the
The
Gulf,
Red Sea.
in the
Yeah,
Red
in
Sea?
the Red
Oh,
Sea.
okay, the
Not
Red
the
Sea.
right. It's in the Red Sea. Red Sea is on the west side of Saudi and Persian Gulf. It's
Right?
on the east side of the Saudi, right? So I think they are trying to somehow show their existence and influence to the things happening in the Middle East,
Oh,
right? So you have uh, now another piece of news I was going to talk about today. It's actually Iran purchased tons of materials that's going to be enough. That's enough for Iran to make hundreds of ballistic missiles from China. They in China it's going to ship all those materials to Iran in the next few months, based on a report from I think it's what forgot either Washington Post or Wall Street Journal. Uh, so now see they are Persian Gulf is right next to Iran, so Iran has enough capacity if they want to threaten the Persian Gulf transportation, and then Iran, if they want, they can actually effectively cut through at the Hormuz Strait,
Hormuz Straits. Sure,
and
it would be very
also,
easy to do.
and then you from Persian Gulf in order to go to Indian Ocean, you need to go through Gulf of Oman, right?
Yep.
And then China, Russia, and Iran has have been conducting military naval drill for years, annually in Gulf of Oman. That's on the east side of Saudi. This is one main
Yeah.
channel for the oil from Middle East to go out to the whole world. And then on the west side of Saudi, that's the Red Sea. Now, the Red Sea, in order go from the Red Sea to Indian Ocean, you have to go through Gulf of Eden, right?
That's right.
Yeah, Gulf of Eden is right next to Yemen. Houthis is there, and so now the U.S. just bombed Houthi, and but now China trying to make some sort of a voice there. They're not there to do something against the U.S. warship, and but they're doing something to the
German, yeah.
German surveillance plan. I think this is like it's kind of like making a statement there.
Well, they're kicking sand in the face of the Germans. That's what they're
Yeah.
doing, and like they kick sand in the face of everybody. That's their wolf warrior approach to diplomacy. But on the one hand, they're trying to offload all of their of EV cars, of which they have 1 trillion, into European markets, and Germany is so they're trying to court Germany to buy all their cars, and then they're shooting at their airplanes. So it's an interesting form of diplomacy where you slap them and then give them a big kiss or something.
Well, it's the behavior is really not hard to understand because what you look at what Kim Jong Un has been doing for years, it's the same way.
Yes,
All these these guys, this the same kind of diplomacy approach that they're taking.
amen. Tough one. Um, so in the Red Sea, in the Persian Gulf, or the Arabian Gulf, as Donald Trump would have it, if he had his way, um, it's warming up and things are getting pretty unsettled. Well, I picked up an article from our old friend Antonio Graceffo, who is our Singapore-based correspondent, and he put out an article in the Gateway Pundit. China builds up its nuclear force in direct challenge to the United States. I don't like the title at all. China's nuclear force expansion has fundamentally transformed the global strategic environment, according to senior congressional leaders, and that's who the article is based on, some Senate and House Armed Services Committee folks. So he says that the modernization program is a shift from limited deterrent capabilities, which is mutual assured destruction, to a more comprehensive nuclear forces designed for strategic competition, which is to say, we're going to have a nuclear war, we better plan to win it. So this is like a decided shift from the good old days when it was America versus Russia, and we each had the nuke, and if I use it, you'll use it, and if you use it, I'll use it, and so to heck with it. We'll just have these nukes and settle in the background. But different story now. We're talking about a strategic competition where we're setting up to win a nuclear war. So by 2035, China aims to possess the world's largest and most powerful nuclear arsenal, surpassing that, of course, that of the U.S. And Representative Scott Desjardins, who is chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, assessed China's nuclear modernization has created a new tripolar environment. So, like I said, where it was bipolar, Russia and the United States, now China has stepped into the ring, and there's 3 big nuclear powers going into an arms buildup at this time. At least China is. I'm not sure about Russia. So Defense Intelligence Agency's analysts confirms that China's nuclear warhead inventory has surpassed 600 operational weapons, and it hopes to build it up to 1,500 nuclear bombs. And its missile arsenal includes over 2,000 missiles capable of reaching Taiwan, including advanced hypersonic systems. And the PLA rocket force has already deployed the hypersonic systems in the field, I guess. So U.S. intelligence projects that China will field 700 nuclear warheads by 2027 and building up to 1,500 nuclear weapons. So, and they're not, the modernization programs include
1,500 by 2035, right?
Yes. Let's see, 700 by 2027, 1,500 by 2035. So that's 10 years. So they're on a...
Well, China, couple years ago, I remember there was already a congressional report saying China already have more land-based nuclear launch device than United States because they're building this thing in a crazy speed, or because actually China has this hypersonic missile technology, which we don't really. I don't know if we truly have or we have not had that because basically that's something I'm getting the contradicting news. Some say we already have, some say that we
We
yet
may or may not have it,
right.
but we know that China has it. We know that Russia has it.
Yeah, China has started displaying their hypersonic missile technology back in 2019 during the military parade in front of Xi Jinping on Tiananmen Square.
Right. And the next one is September 3rd. So tune in,
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen. And
the one that's coming, it's
yep,
like within less than 2 months. It's on September 3rd, and Putin is going there, and they already invite Trump. I hope Trump is not going.
bad photo op, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We don't want
that's
to see, yeah.
oh, some of the new American newspapers love to see that photo. Xi Jinping, and Xi Jinping standing in the center, and then on the left, it's Putin. On the right, it's Trump. And, they will put that photo on, for like years, maybe centuries to come.
You know, another interesting aspect about this buildup is that it's being done in qualitative and quantitative fashion. Quantitative meaning they're building more bombs as fast as they possibly can. Qualitative means they're building them bigger and more efficiently and stronger and more powerful and more deadly. So they're growing the arsenal in two different directions at the same time, both of which are scary when you think about it. The other thing they're doing is they're building up their nuclear reactor program for energy, and also to, as we've seen from the Wuhan Virology Institute, everything that's economic also has a political angle. So they're building these nuclear reactors for electrical power, but also to further their development of their nuclear weapons program at the same time. So there you have China funding the U.S. green movement to solar energy and wind power, while they're building more coal-burning power plants and nuclear reactors. Huh. So that's a pretty interesting one. So, and here's the upshot of all of this, and this is from, let's see, Senator Katie Britt, who observed that China's nuclear infrastructure development mirrors its earlier program in manufacturing. So Xi Jinping is mustering all of the power of centralized government to focus like a laser on building nuclear weapons. And just as he focused as a laser on developing the manufacturing infrastructure to build 100 trillion EVs. So he's using that central government and the power of nobody's going to complain about what I'm doing to focus so intently on this buildup of nuclear weapons that what she says, now directing both state-owned and private firms through the military-civil fusion to rapidly expand the People's Liberation Army's nuclear arsenal. So, marshaling everything they can, focus it like a laser on building nuclear weapons. So, and of course, where do they get the technology to do that? Energy Secretary Chris Wright described China's reactor construction as a knockoff, a stealing of America's reactor technology, underscoring the regime's systematic acquisition of foreign nuclear expertise to accelerate infrastructure development. This strategy allows China to bypass the time and cost of indigenous innovation, consistent with Beijing's broader pattern of stealing foreign technology and intellectual property, particularly from the United States. And of course, the big upshot of all of this is that as it builds up its nuclear arsenal to a point where it becomes a huge factor in diplomacy. So if it has all of these nukes just sitting there, ready to blow them off, and they decide to invade Taiwan, kind of makes for everybody to think twice about stopping them. And if there's nobody to stop them, they will
Well, I
become.
think we can still stop them. I think it will become the situation similar to Ukraine war. Both sides have nuclear weapons that both sides not intend to use it because it's the mutual assured destruction, right? The MAD that actually work. So we have U.S. Pacific Fleet over there. Our aircraft carrier, and then we have Japan's Navy and the Philippines, the U.S. Military base in
Yeah,
the Philippines. So we're going to be in war with Chinese military, but neither side is going to use the nuclear weapons.
we hope.
Well, that's what happened, right? So then if
Yes. Well, we've been talking about this for 4 years, about that, something like that. And we've always came up with the same remark, essentially. The only thing that will stop that war is that if China goes completely belly up.
Well, I think I don't think we should count on
No, you
that.
can't count on it.
Yeah, so we can't count on that. I think what we can count on is we can expand our military and then make sure our military service people, men and women, have whatever they need, as much
Well,
capacity as
hopefully
possible to
we
build it
can.
up.
Hopefully, we can do what Ronald Reagan did, which was keep expanding ours at a greater pace than Russia could expand theirs. And so we got bigger and meaner, and they went bankrupt trying to catch up.
Yeah,
Hope,
but the situation now is we have two nuclear opponents, China and Russia, right? And during the Cold War, we only had one.
that's
So
the
that
difference. It's a
yeah, that
tripart, yeah.
yeah, which means we have to do a lot more than what we did during the Cold War.
And the irony of all of this, of course, is that where does China get the money to build a nuclear arsenal? It comes from us, ladies and gentlemen. We buy the stuff, they take the money, they build the bullets to shoot us. And
Yeah.
it's
And
sad.
they use all the manufacturers, the manufacture
All this,
industry
yeah,
that we gave to them.
that they took from us
And the
and we gave to
technology
them.
and the technologies we gave to them and the high tech products we gave to them, everything we gave to them are going to be used against us,
There it
against
is.
our children and grandchildren.
So face up to it. It is the world in which we live. With that, we're going to take a quick break, a couple of minutes, and when we come back, we're going to talk about China and Russia. That's an interesting match made in, I don't know where it was made. Do stay tuned. China Now, Nansu, Michael Olson, and you.
Back in the 16th century, a famous prophet and psychic, Nostradamus, predicted great disasters. Hundreds of years later, believe it or not, a lot of his predictions have come true. Today, we have another psychic and prophet among us. His name is Nostradamus. His great ability to predict when home repairs, primarily a roof, will become a much-needed thing is truly remarkable. His predictions have been renowned and recorded for many years now. Yes, Nostradamus can be found a key owner at Knox Roofing, and he can give you accurate advice on when your roof will leak. His ability to see your home completed with only the best products and services is truly amazing. If you need a sitting with Nostradamus, all you need to do is call 461-0634, and you can receive a free reading of your home's life and its life-changing events about to occur. Okay, thanks, folks.
Treehouse dispenses not only the finest cannabis products, but information to those who want to know how to use cannabis for maximum benefit. Hello, I'm Jenna. If you would like to know how best to use cannabis, ask your friends and neighbors at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 SoCal Drive. If you're 21 plus with a valid ID, no appointment is necessary and the information is free. Order online at ourtreehouse.io and pick up at our drive-thru. See you soon.
You need a clean, pleasant space to conduct business, but you don't want the burden of a long, expensive lease. Your solution is Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on SoCal Avenue. Satellite offers private offices, meeting and conference rooms, even co-working by the hour, day, week, or month. Schedule a tour at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
Welcome back. 我们回得来的，我们是中国现在 which is China now. China now is a very different country than it was not too long ago, a century ago. Chinese Communist Party took it over and have turned it into a mighty captain of industry all over the world. And now the world is faced with the fact that it's becoming ever more bullish on taking over everything. And we see that in the buildup of their nuclear weapons and its bullying of its neighbors through that wolf warrior diplomacy. And we wonder, what's going to happen, war or peace? That's the question always on the table with China now. Gansu, China has been developing a relationship with Russia for quite some time. They've also been warriors, or at war with each other as well. And you speak of a secret Russian intelligence document that shows a deep suspicion by Russia of China. I would be nervous of China if I was Vladimir Putin, that's for sure.
Well, I think those articles, we have one articles in the last couple months, one published by New York Times, another recently published by the Hill. Now,
which one would you believe?
None of them I believe. None of them I believe. I think they are the total BS, basically. First of all, if you look at New York Times article saying, so New York Times, basically the article is saying the New York Times attained a Russia National Security Agency's a 7-page document saying Russia it's worrying that China is going to invade Siberia. Now, that's the big title, a big story. But if you really read into that story, you're going to find out that this is the total fake news. Now, first of all, the New York Times says, we discussed that a little bit earlier, but after the discussion, I went back to check on the article. So when I really read into the article, this is what the article says. New York Times attained that 7-page document from an internet cyber hacker group. It's a criminal group, basically.
And whose side was that group on?
They didn't tell you. Okay, they didn't tell. They just say it's an internet hackers criminal group. I don't know what's the relationship between that criminal group with New York Times,
or with the CCP, or with the CIA, or.
We don't know. They basically say they got it, and the document doesn't even have a date. Okay, so it turned out as a New York Times wrote the article, this is like they hope nobody will notice it because there's a huge story, right? So and then New York Times says, even the internet hackers group was not sure if this is the real document. So basically, by adding that sentence, it's like a disclaimer. That story.
In other
It's
words, you've read
it's
this far for nothing.
That's right. Well, they put it in the middle of the story somewhere, but
Sure.
however, they did, develop a long, full story about China need oil, gas, and fresh water from Siberia in Russia, and also the Siberia historically were part of China's old dynasties. So they have these,
They want Vladivostok back.
Right, right. So, but it doesn't matter, all those things are BS because if this document is not true, right? So now, and then the story continue. It says after they say they got this document from internet hackers, a criminal group without a date, and even the internet hackers group was not sure if these documents were true or not. And then they say, however, New York Times contact some of the related um, uh, intelligence agency and ask them to make assessment. So those assessment result came back say looks like this is a Russia secret intelligence document. So
Wow.
that's how they establish it. Sound familiar?
Yes, it
you
does.
know, Sound familiar. I remember back in 2020, during the presidential debate, Trump said, "Hey, Hunter Biden's laptop, it's got a big problem." So, President Biden, at that time was a presidential candidate, show a letter written by 51 former U.S. intelligence officers who said, well, based on their experience, that the Hunter Biden laptop, it's like Russian intelligence operation.
There's another case in which the same thing happened. And
Hold
that,
on, hold on, hold
okay.
on. Let's finish that one first.
Okay. Um,
So most of the people, once they heard that, that's the end of it, right? So,
right?
but you won't know the truth until you actually go read the letter. I don't know how many people actually go read the letter. That was claimed by President Biden that was written by more than 50 U.S. former intelligence agents, right? So
Hmm.
I actually went to read the letter 3 times. And the most important part I found is there is close to the end, there was a disclaimer there. It basically say, "Well, this is based on our experience. We look at the whole thing. It looks like a Russian intelligence operation, but however, we didn't know enough. So basically,
So basically, we're guessing.
that's it." So
Wow.
now it's the same approach. This New York Times article, was written. Basically, they're saying, everything they wrote in the article, put in the article, was just guessing. This comes at a critical time when our Secretary of Defense went to the Asian Pacific Security Summit, Shangri-La Summit in Singapore, saying the war in the Western Pacific is imminent. And now they say, wow, the coming war is between China and Russia?
Change
Come
the
on.
scene, yeah.
It's interesting, right? And then there's more. There's another story that's just last week put out by The Hill. Now, The Hill basically published an article which was written. They say it's a Harvard graduate. So I went to they say China. It's not going to invade Taiwan. China is going to invade Russia for fresh water, oil, and gas. The same approach. China is going to take over the Siberia
Hmm.
region Russia. Now, what I did is I went check, what the heck this Harvard graduate, its background. So I found, the Harvard graduate they talk about it named John Lonergan. He graduated from Harvard from got MBA degree, business
Sure,
degree.
business degree
It
from
really
Harvard.
has nothing to do with the history, the international relation, nothing. And then his background, he's a fiction story writer.
Oh, okay.
So
There you go.
he published a couple, one story named Containment, another story it's called named Outbreak. It's all about, Russians start this bio warfare and then, virus, bacteria all around the world. So now everything he put in there, I don't know what the heck that the editor of The Hill actually thinking about. They hire a friction story writer and write a comment about saying China is not going to invade Taiwan. Instead, China is going to invade Russia.
Well, classic
He's
misdirection.
writing a story. He's writing a fiction, basically.
Well, it could be a classic misdirection. Hey, look over here while I move over here. It's a classic thing to do. Just have people. It's like a magician's trick.
No,
that's how you hide things while you get people to look in a different direction.
Yeah, but it's a huge. It's something. These two articles it really become a huge public debate. In the Chinese media war.
Oh, okay.
That there's a lot of people talking about these things. So I think there's a lot of the small pink, those pro-China, pro-CCP small pink. They want to see this article.
There you go.
They like it because it really shifts attention of United States, away to somewhere else. Now, why at the same time there's another important piece as a contrast, another piece of news that happened last week. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi went to NATO and talked to the diplomats, all these different countries of Europe. And Wang Yi did actually say it. I don't think he want this thing to be later reported by the media, but was reportedly he say to the EU diplomats, they say China doesn't want the Ukraine war to stop because China is worried when the Ukraine war is stopped, then all the attentions from United States are going to on China, and China will be the sole one that resists all the pressure from the United States.
So Wang Yi
if you compare with that statement with the articles from New York Times and The Hill, you clearly see, who is doing what.
Sure. Wang Yi got caught telling the truth.
I think so.
Yeah.
No, well, first of all, I don't think Wang Yi actually thinking about. I don't think he thought that whatever he told the EU diplomats will be later on the news, right?
Yeah.
Someone just just put it out there, so Wang Yi didn't even predict it was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I have two comments about the China-Siberia axis. One, from what I've seen and read and followed, the Chinese have already invaded Siberia. They've done just what the Latin American community has done on our southern border. They just moved in and took over. And that's what.
Well, I'm not. I don't know if that can be considered an invasion over there. See, China need fresh water, oil, and gas from Russia. They can buy it. Russia.
If they have the money, they can buy it.
Yeah, they have the money, and then Russia.
Where do they get the money?
Yeah, China, Russia have nowhere else to sell
Yeah.
those oil and water, fresh water and gas, and then they sell to Russia. They're completely happy to do that,
Yeah.
right? So they don't need to invade Russia. I mean,
Well, I don't
uh,
think they do either. I
yeah,
think,
if they invade Russia to take some water or Siberia, a
yeah,
small region, that means what? That means the entire northern border of China will facing an enemy. So
yeah,
now they are already facing the enemy in the Pacific front, and also on the western front they're facing India. On the western and east front they're facing Japan and then Taiwan and the Philippines. Now they're going to make it, if they make Russia their enemy, then they have the entire world become the enemy of China. I don't know why they're doing that. I mean, I think all these articles they're completely BS.
yeah. I don't think China is going to invade Russia because I think they're just going to wait for Russia to fall apart and take over.
Oh,
That's my guesstimate.
yeah. Well, we don't know if that's going to happen. We don't know,
Of
but
course not.
well, let's just see. We'll just see, right? But you don't underestimate your enemy. That's what it is.
Right.
Don't try to think Xi Jinping is stupid. He's a evil guy, but he's extremely smart.
Well,
You know,
he's intent on one thing, and that's winning the war with the United States.
well, that's it.
Yep, there it is. So, but the other thing I wanted to mention was the panel of experts that they get to weigh in on things. We've seen this thing, as you said before, and I wanted to bring up the same thing happened during COVID days when somebody stood up, some brave soldier, and said that this COVID did not come from an animal; it came from a laboratory. And Anthony Fauci went out and rounded up 50 scientists who said that it could not have possibly come from a laboratory. It had to come from an animal. And these scientists were the top biologists in town. I mean, these are people who are getting millions and billions and zillions of dollars from the government for their research. And that money was handed out by Anthony Fauci. And if it indeed the pathogen, the COVID-19 virus, did prove to come from a laboratory, it would have been from a laboratory that Anthony Fauci was funding with our taxpayer money. So he didn't want people to know that or to think that. And so he rallied up all of these people that he was giving money to for research to write this letter. And they did. And I think it appeared in Nature or something like that. It was a highly prestigious thing. But whenever I see a panel of experts sign something that says what happened didn't happen, I get suspicious. So that's the pretty much on the menu for the first segment of our show. I did have a piece on that I could probably fill you in, which is really significant too. It's the piece about our friends in Vietnam signing a trade agreement with Donald J. Trump. That makes them the third country to sign up. The first being UK, then China, and of course,
China was not signed. China was not signed. China was a trade deal, but not a tariff deal. China was a trade deal all about the rare earth.
there you go. So that's the only we've never really seen what the terms are of these trade deals, have we?
No,
just
no.
speculating.
I read articles that we gave China some of the important software that we develop by the U.S. corporations in exchange of rare earths. So now I'm glad that that happened, and then someone realized, China is cutting our throat. So now things need to be done differently than what's been done in the last quarter century, and we really need to develop our own supply chain of rare earth and everything else, and everything else.
Do you think everybody has woken up to that fact? Or do you think 10,
No, not
10%?
everybody, but
What
at
percent
least
of what percent of the American population do you think has woken up to the fact that we're in a
I
total
don't think,
unrestricted war
I don't
with
think the
China?
American population has totally, waken up to the fact. But I do think the top leadership circle, both Republican and Democrats, they are aware of that situation. So I think that's very important. But I do think we need to do more to have a public awareness of the threat from China.
Amen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a philosopher by the name of George Santayana said once that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And what we see it happening in New York City looks a lot like history repeating itself. We're talking, of course, about Zohran Mamdani, who is the Democrat Party's candidate for New York City mayor and a self-proclaimed socialist. Recently, Van Mamdani has called for government-owned grocery stores. Now, this has happened before, across that big ocean and back in time. And it was it a Democrat Party candidate? It was Mao Zedong himself who organized community canteens where everybody had to eat free government food. Now, what do you think could possibly go wrong with something like that?
You will bankrupt the government.
I don't know how that could possibly happen if you gave free food to everybody and they could eat as much as they want. Well, my goodness. They're probably going to end up drowning in garbage. But at any rate, this is a very significant point in Chinese history, but also in human history as well. What happened when Mao ordered everybody to eat together out of the common kettle from food that they grew themselves. So it was like a self-feeding machine. But something went drastically wrong, and tens of millions of people starved to death as a consequence of it. So when we see Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat Party's candidate for New York City mayor, stand up with these notions like we should have a government-owned grocery stores so everybody could eat whatever they wanted and nobody would have to pay. It just seems silly that history does seem to be repeating itself. Well, this has been the first hour of China Now with Nansu and Michael Olson. And there's always a lot happening in China, and it's always kind of edgy, a little bit frightening almost, like you just don't know. China now, friend or foe, war or peace, which is it? That's the question always on the table at China Now. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll pick up the story and the story of China's, or I guess it's Eat at Mao. Eat at Mao's is what we're going to call this story. Eat at Mao's.